But I do agree with you there. The Hydro is just so great with the Lo Yang.
Well, if you play the German national anthem while playing the Z23, I think that might be the buff she needs.
I I actually did that. I had a playlist of like military songs, from all the different nations, and I would play one while I was playing. It really made the game just feel so much more immersive and fun.
Akazuki is a fine destroyer to take. She has a fair amount of weaknesses, but she definitely excels against killing other destroyers.
I think the key though with Akazuki is you have to be good with aim, and you have to be good with knocking down those destroyers immediately, and you also need a 14-point captain to be able to be effective in it.
Mm-hmm. Akazuki is 14 points minimum.
Yeah, because you need the IFHE and you need concealment.
She does the anti-destroyer role a lot better than Keith because she can actually get close. Her concealment is close enough to every other destroyer that she's guaranteed to use her firepower. Like, let's see. For destroyers I would recommend for tier 8, it would be Benson, Lo Yang, Kid, and Akazuki.
Oh, Muser's in this game. Yeah, Sarah, come on in, sir. So we're looking here. Let's pause it. Let's analyze the matchmaking here. So again, tier 8 ranked, 7 on 7. We know we've got one good player at least here with Muser and the Atago. What's going through your mind when you see this, sir?
Okay. So, let's see. Destroyers are no. This side has the Lo Yangs, so you actually have a pretty significant advantage. Okay, so Muser is good, but if we're going to just go by... If we don't know that the player skills are here, then Atago beats Mogami no problem. New Orleans is preferable to Martel, so this team's already pretty stacked.
Mm-hmm. And Tirpitz versus Bismarck?
It's whatever.
And the Richelieu, of course, having the ability just to go bow on and put 8 guns to bear compared to North Carolina's bow on 6. That also could be an advantage.
Well, I would normally say it's an advantage, but Richelieu can't hit the broadside of a Kerfros, so I wouldn't say so.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well let's continue the battle and see. We've got Gunstar Legend here using premium consumables, which makes sense. Flag-wise, we've got Commander XP credits, credit reduction, which at tier 8, I don't know that I would use. I'd hold those for the tier 10 ranked. Flood chance, speed boost, detonation, equal speed try London for some 50% XP boost, and fire chance flag. And I think this is this the permanent camo for the Benson?
I actually don't know.
I don't know either, because I rarely use permanent camos, and personally, if you're going to stack a XP boosting flag like equal speed, Charlie London, I would put on it at least one of those camos that adds 100% if you have them.
Right. So I looked at his HP, and it's only 15,400. That is the stock amount. That's the base amount of Benson HP. Yes. So it looks like his captain's not optimized.
Okay, and what that means is he's not running Survivability Expert, which adds 350 HP per tier, so that would be 350 times 8.
It would give it to 18,600 ish.
Which gives you an awful lot of extra playroom in a destroyer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you absolutely need that in destroyer gun duels because each salvo does roughly about 1 to 1.5k on average. So that's at least 2 salvos of destroyers that you can burn through. So he's going for a C, which is pretty good. Lo Yang definitely is better for taking the AB cap. You don't want to put every destroyer onto one cap most of the time, because that's just limiting your flexibility and just and sometimes it could be a trap. Oh, 18,200, my mistake.
That's okay.
Okay, so he did. Another mistake was to instantly launch torps instead of using guns. There is no reason he should be using torpedoes against other destroyers unless they're stopping in smoke.
Right.
Like, he pretty much did the worst of both worlds. He fired once, he got the firing penalty, and then he fired his torps. So pretty much he just allowed the destroyer to shoot him for free for 20 seconds.
True. Good point. Yeah, I think I would have liked to have seen him pop his smoke as he retreated if you wanted to break line of sight and contact. And now that he's smoking, now is when you fire your torps, right?
Mm-hmm. If he fires his torps, if he uses his smoke, then you fire torps into the smoke. But smoke can work both ways, as it obscures your vision and his vision. Okay, so as I said earlier, he should not have fired his torps. This would have been the perfect opportunity to do so.
Yep. I'd also like to see him turn the opposite way now that he's broken detection, because if that Benson fires torpedoes, he's gonna fire out into this guy's current path.
Mm-hmm. He is overly aggressive. There's no reason he should be going into a path like this. At least not yet, because he doesn't have as much support, and he doesn't have torpedoes to fire into that smoke just yet.
And you've got a Bismarck coming in that's probably got secondaries, so...
Well, thankfully, the rest of the team is doing a good job.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't actually have to do too much right now. If he just stays on the edge of the... Why did Benson just get torped?
The funny thing is, because of the lag, that happened right when he said, oh, the rest of his team doing a pretty good job, and then, boom!
Okay, so... Exhibit A, why not? Why you should not be sitting still in your smoke.
Yes, and also Exhibit B, why you should be using narrow spread instead of wide spread.
I've actually had way too much fun with widespread torpedoes.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's the random, oh crap, torpedo?
Yes, I've managed to hit people... I was using black torpedoes earlier, and I managed to hit people with widespread torps. It's hilarious.
Black torpedoes I can understand because they're so slow and they go for so long.
Mm-hmm. As far as I can tell, I'm probably the only competitive player who actually uses widespread torps. Not on accident, of course. Alright, so since he torpedoed that enemy Benson in smoke, his team has a commanding lead in destroyers. I say that as Lo Yang dies. So never mind.
Go ahead, keep jinxing this team. I'm sure Muse will appreciate it.
Okay, but it's still his advantage because Harakaze still doesn't outgun Benson in a straight-up duel. So New Orleans is dead. That's not good, I think.
Yeah, this is, and the thing too is, you've got that Bismarck that's right on the other side of the island.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is something I don't... Sorry, go ahead.
Bismarck's not a problem if he uses the islands correctly.
Mm-hmm. One thing I want to comment, he popped his smoke and then he started shooting before he was completely concealed and got spotted momentarily. That's something that personally I hate doing. You know, I want to wait until I'm fully concealed. And on the bottom left, that's the that red arrow that pops up next to your speed. That's the minimum speed you need to be going in order to stay concealed by smoke, or maximum, I mean.
Yep. So I wouldn't agree with him smoking there because I was afraid that he was the only one spotting the Charles Martel, and that actually was a problem because Martel went unspotted for about 10 seconds or so.
Right. He's also putting himself in a really big position here to get torpedoed by both the Harikaze and the Martel.
Mm-hmm. So A is still being taken. I think B got taken even though Martel's being shot at. So he should know where Harikaze is.
And
The other... Oh, he got out.
I was gonna say, you said he should know where the Harikaze is just when he pops up on the screen.
So okay, that was... must have been desync. So Harikaze is actually pretty good in a gunfight if it carries the 100mm guns, which most people do.
And those guns have IFHE.
Mm-hmm.
So,
You have like 3/4 of Akazuki's firepower, but you have the concealment advantage, which is pretty significant. But it looks like Harikaze doesn't want to pick this fight, so Benson wins out.
right? Now this is a B-hull Benson, which is a typical Benson you see in rank because it's got 5 guns as opposed to the 4 guns that the C-hull will have.
Mm-hmm. You never take a C-hull Benson into ranked unless you are expecting carriers.
In which case...
If that happens...
Sorry, go ahead.
If you see a carrier, you should not be in queue. So
That's
point's
right.
moot.
And I had somebody message me after my last stream saying, well, don't you lose all your consumables and stuff and flags? And the answer is no. If you escape the queue and go... escape the queue. If you hit escape to get out of the queue, which is escaping, I guess, and go back to the port, everything remains on your ship. It hasn't been spent at all. So you're not losing credits, you're not losing flags. What you are losing is the risk of having a garbage carrier player on your team. So it's a good decision, at least in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Carrier players, their skill level is very, very... It varies quite a bit. And it's generally not a risk you want to take most of the time.
Right. Now, there's also the argument that you should be able to win in any environment, and I understand that argument too. But why would you give yourself that added variable in the battle? You're just better off controlling as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And how
It's
about
basically just playing to your advantages. Like, why take a disadvantage? And why did the battleships ram each other? Okay.
And this is very risky here. I don't know why he waited to get unspotted to smoke.
It wasn't being focused on earlier, just because everyone was concentrated on the turrets. Yeah. I think he was hoping that he could just smoke fire the Bismarck, maybe. But yeah, this smoke isn't very good.
Yep, and at this point it's just him and Muser.
Alright, so even though Harikaze is nearly dead, he's at a low enough health where Bismarck can actually finish him off. Not good enough torps, unfortunately.
No, the Bismarck had beached, but he was too slow to react, I think, to that beach.
He fired at the wrong target. He should have gone a little bit closer before firing off torpedoes.
Right.
But that's a pretty common mistake, so I don't ding him too hard.
And this is, I paused it for a second here because I want this to catch up, but right here I think is a key mistake when you're playing Destroyer. Now granted, it's towards the end of the battle, all that good stuff, but he is now charging into B cap to cap the point when he has 0 consumables available, and he doesn't even have torpedoes available. If he runs into that Harikaze, he's located, so that's a good there's a good chance there. He could get surprise torpedoed, he could get killed, Bismarck could come in. You're opening yourself up to an awful lot of possibilities. You've got both caps, you've got 4 minutes until cap, assuming B or A doesn't flip. They have 14 minutes to cap. So why risk it?
I think he was thinking that he needed that extra cap because Atago wasn't doing that well against Mogami. I don't think he's familiar with how good Musor is, so he thought that he has to make a play.
Okay, that's fair.
Also, if Harikaze tries to challenge him, he can easily kill him.
True.
Of course. So it's kind of a calculated risk in theory.
Right.
But yeah. Otherwise, I still would not take that risk because honestly, Harikaze, if he dies, that's just too much. He has to, even if he kills Harikaze, he has to get lucky that Bismarck doesn't put like a 5k salvo through his butt.
Right, exactly. And you know the Bismarck's probably going to be aggressive and push in. I mean, why wouldn't you, right? Especially you've got Hydro, you've got the hit points, you've secondary build.
Like, he does have 4 consumables, but he hasn't been using them very wisely.
Yep.
Okay, he's holding shock, which don't think that was too necessary. What I would have done is just to hold shots. Like, fire one set of torpedoes, wait about 20 seconds or so, then fire the next salvo.
Right, because then that's another flood, and then that's a permanent flood, and they're gone.
Pretty much.
Musor at least is seeing this opportunity now. She knows that the Bismarck took the torpedo and is flooding, so she's trying to light him back on fire.
He should have was that smoke just to the north of him? Was that his own smoke?
I think
was that
so.
The Harikaze?
It's hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure it was his.
Okay, rendering problems then. That was very poor usage of concealment. He should have just kept going north and just stay away from the 5.8 kilometer zone.
Right, play ring around the island.
He was pretty fortunate that Bismarck didn't have a shot onto him.
Muse is pretty low at this point, 7k health.
We don't know how many heals she has left, so it could be misleading.
Absolutely.
So yeah, now that he has the advantage, he should be going into the cap and forcing Harikaze to fight him.
And boy, is he lucky he didn't run into torpedoes on the way. Interestingly enough, he's no longer located.
Oh? Well, if he's not located, he should know where that Harikaze is.
Well, it's weird. It's almost as if neither enemy ship is using.
No.
Yeah, right. Gunstar even in chat. I'm sending this one to Zath. That's awesome.
Our victory is in sight.
Okay, Mexican standoff time.
I don't know why he's charging in when he doesn't need to. Yep, I would have just said, you can have A cap, I'll have B cap, now we just sit here.
That's right. You want it? Come and get it.
Alright, the game's pretty much over, and aside from nothing short of Benson and Atago detonating, this game's done.
Right.
So his destroyer play I didn't find it to be too good. There was a fair amount of mistakes, like using torpedoes too early, over reliance on torpedoes when his focus should be on guns, and not manipulating his concealment in several situations.
Yeah, it felt almost like, I mean, he just used the concealment to get into certain positions, but once he started, he threw away that concealment and traded HP in order to do that, which personally I don't know I like.
Well, for starters, he needs to change his captain setup because survivability expert is practically a must-have. SI is okay, but I find the extra smoke to be a little bit extra.
I don't know if I would take it in a Benson, especially over a survivability expert. I think that's obviously the #1 choice you pick. So instead of superintendent, what would you go for then? BFT, so you have a higher rate of fire?
Yep, BFT. There's two main builds I see. There's one that involves RPF, in which you get, after Concealment Expert, you get RPF, you get BFT, and then Adrenaline Rush. The other one is more of a gunboat build, which is after Concealment Expert, you take 3 extra 3-point skills. So that would be like BFT, Demolition Expert, and whatever skill you, whatever last skill you want.
Right.
So that duel against the destroyer over at sea, he could have done a lot better because, as I mentioned before, he shot and then he fired torpedoes. That is about the worst combination since he broke his stealth concealment and he pretty much didn't do any damage in return.
Correct.
So the enemy got to shoot at him free for like 20 seconds or so.
And then later, when he charged into CCAP and the Benson smoked, he was still getting shot at for free because he opened fire and the Harikaze was spotting him for 20 seconds.
He got very lucky there because one of his teammates shot the enemy destroyer for about 6k or so, and then he later ate a torp.
Right. Now,
his game.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go on.
His
gameplay.
You first.
Okay, so after CCAP, where we witnessed the loss of Benson and Lo Yang for some weird reason, he should have been just primarily spotting the Charles Martel, because he was likely the only ship that had sight on him. And it turns out he was the only ship that had sight on him for a bit, because Martel went unspotted after he popped smoke.
Right. Perhaps with the spotting ribbon, that will make it a little bit more helpful for destroyer players to know. Like, if they just got the spotting ribbon, they're the one that's clearly spotting that target. If they smoke up, that target will probably disappear.
I don't know how many people will get that, though. I'm not Halcyon. He eats too many torpedoes.
Oh, shots fired. Well, going back to the torpedo and gun decision, one thing that you kind of learn a lot at the beginning of like destroyer knife fighting is that you don't fire your torpedoes right away. You fire your guns first, and then you fire your torpedoes, and then you go back to guns. And maybe that's what he was kind of thinking when he was doing that. But I don't like it. I agree with you. I would wait till he smoked up, or at least see what he's gonna do, and then try to predict.
The torpedoes are not used in the actual destroyer gunfight. You shoot it into areas that you're expecting destroyers, which is before the fight and into a cap or into a smoke screen. Otherwise, don't switch to torpedoes unless you're about to die. So after CCAP, he went up north to kind of spot the battleships. I think he had a decent opportunity with smoking up and shooting the North Carolina and or Tirpitz. Of course, getting torpedoed by that Harikaze is probably not a good alternative.
Yeah.
So it's pretty understandable. However, that smoke usage after the after I think it was a Tirpitz and the North Carolina made love to each other, that was a terrible use of smoke.
Mm-hmm.
So he turned that smoke did not help him conceal. He lost sight of the Bismarck. Like there was nothing. That smoke served no purpose, and that actually ended up harming him when he was going to go for C, since now he has nothing to defend himself.
Exactly.
So yeah, as you pointed out, that was a problem. I would say he got pretty lucky with Bismarck, just because Bismarck just took torpedoes, and Blazer was able to punish that Bismarck and kill him, and later the Mogami.
Yeah, I think he got really lucky that he had Blaza on the team who actually knew how to kite, who could use all that HP to her advantage. And, I mean, let's face it, she burned down that Mogami. And took out helped to take out that Bismarck when, a lot of other players might have done something totally different and just gotten themselves killed, figuring, oh, that's it.
Yep. Also, side note, if he had BFT, he might have actually been able to kill that Harakaze, because he was on 42 HP.
Mm-hmm.
So that actually might have made a huge difference, because, like, a destroyer with 1 HP can still spot, and I would have to be very careful. But if he has 0 HP, then I can completely ignore him and just only work around Bismarck. It would have made his gameplay a lot easier.
Absolutely. Alright, well guys, it's 3 o'clock. I said I'd stream till 3. Let's do one more, and then we'll call it quits from that. SAT, you're welcome to stick around, or if you want to go, no worries, man. You've done a lot. Thank you either way.
Ziv problem. Just one more replay.
Oh my god, yeah. And I've got replays backlogged for like a month now, so... Oh well.
So the only option now is to play all the replays at the same time.
Right? How many instances can I play at once before the computer just says, screw you, I'm out? Well, I'm actually going to be out of the country coming up for a while, so at least I've got enough to last me for, everyday releases, so to speak. So that's good.
Where are you going to?
I'm going to South Africa. Kind of excited.
That is pretty exciting.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. See there, multi-replay drifting. Yeah. That would be kind of interesting if we could get like 6 people all to record and stream, and we all do it to whatever that Twitch combiner is, you know what I mean? And then you got like all 6 replays going at once, kind of like on like Sports Sunday or something. God, that'd be confusing as hell.
But efficient.
Yeah. Absolutely. I feel bad that I'm not getting to all these replays, but at the same time, I'd rather do a quality over quantity thing, So what'll it be? Do you want to stick around, or do you have to go?
I can stick around for one more replay.
Alright guys, SAT's volunteered. It's time for one more replay, thank you. And what do you want to see? You tell me. Do you want to do another ranked game, another destroyer? Do you want to just do like a random whatever game? What are you in the mood for?
Well, I've already chosen the last few replays, so you get to choose.
I get to choose. Alright, so I'm going to... We haven't really done a cruiser yet in ranked. So I'm going to pick a cruiser. And...
Alright.
And Muser is in here, and she ranked out in a Minotaur. So I know that she could provide some feedback for a Minotaur replay. What do you think? Do you think that would be a good one for you, SAT? I mean, it's kind of like a big destroyer.
Sort of. The biggest Yang in the game, I guess. There's a lot. I'm not as familiar with the Minotaur radar gameplay, but yeah, I can definitely commentate on it.
Okay. Let's do that. And Saru, I know what replay you're talking about, and no, that replay is going to die in a fire, okay? No, thank you.